You've probably noticed something strange about your dog lately. Maybe you walked into the living room and found them sprawled on their back, legs sticking straight up in the air like they just fainted. Or maybe you caught them sleeping at the very edge of your bed, right at your feet, when there is a perfectly good empty spot right next to your pillow. And you wondered, just for a second, why do they do that? Here is what most dog owners don't realize: the way your dog sleeps where they choose to sleep, and what position their body takes when they finally drift off. These aren't random choices. They're actually one of the clearest windows into what your dog is thinking and feeling. And the first position I am about to show you, it is the one that shocked me the most because it completely flips what most people think it means. In fact, when I learned the real reason behind this sleeping habit, I immediately looked at my own dog differently, and I bet you will too. So let's dive straight in. 1. Sleeping at your feet. The guardian position. You climb into bed exhausted after a long day. Your dog follows you, like they always do. But instead of curling up next to you on the pillow or claiming the warm spot in the middle of the mattress, they settle down right at your feet. Sometimes at the very edge of the bed, sometimes on the floor beside it. And if you are like most dog owners, you've probably wondered, at least once, does my dog not want to be close to me? Here is the truth. When your dog sleeps at your feet, they're not rejecting you, they're protecting you. This position goes back thousands of years, to when dogs weren't pets but pack animals living alongside humans in far more dangerous conditions. In a pack structure, trusted members often position themselves at strategic locations. They place themselves between the vulnerable members, the ones sleeping deeply, and any potential threat that might approach. Your dog isn't just lying there, they're standing guard. Even in their sleep, their senses may remain partially engaged, ready to alert you if something feels wrong. By choosing your feet, they're placing themselves between you and the door, or you and the rest of the house. It is a position of duty. And here is the part most people get wrong. This doesn't mean your dog is anxious or on edge. It means they've assigned themselves a role. They see you as part of their pack, someone worth protecting. It is one of the highest compliments a dog can give. Some dogs, especially breeds that were historically used for guarding livestock, homes, or families, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Great Pyrenees may be more inclined toward this behavior, but even small dogs, terriers, chihuahuas, dachshunds can adopt this position if they feel a strong protective bond with you. So the next time your dog settles at your feet instead of beside your head, don't take it personally. They're not distant, they're devoted. But that is not the only position that reveals trust. In fact, the next one I am about to share shows an entirely different kind of bond, and it is one of the most misunderstood. 2. Curled in a tight ball, the Conservator. Picture this. You walk into the room and your dog is curled up so tightly, their nose is practically touching their tail, their paws are tucked underneath them, their back is curved like a crescent moon, and they look almost small. This is one of the oldest, most instinctive sleeping positions in the canine world, and it tells you two very important things. First, your dog might be cold. When dogs curl into a ball, they're doing exactly what humans do when we pull our knees to our chest under a blanket. They're minimizing the surface area of their body exposed to the air, trapping heat close to their core. If you notice your dog sleeping like this often, especially in winter or in air-conditioned rooms, it might be time to add a blanket to their bed or adjust the temperature. But here is the second, deeper meaning. This position also signals self-protection. When a dog tucks their legs, covers their belly, and keeps their vital organs shielded, they're unconsciously guarding themselves, not necessarily from a physical threat, but from anything unfamiliar or uncertain in their environment. It could be a new house, a recent change in routine, the presence of strangers, or even just loud noises outside. Wild canids often sleep this way in open environments. It is a practical position when full relaxation isn't possible, because it allows for quick movement if needed. Now, does this mean your dog doesn't trust you? Not at all. It just means they're not fully settled yet. Maybe they're still adjusting. Maybe something startled them earlier in the day. Or maybe they just prefer this position out of habit, a leftover instinct that feels right to them. But here is what you should watch for. If your dog only sleeps curled up and never stretches out into more vulnerable positions, it might be worth looking at their environment. Are they getting enough warmth? Do they have a quiet, secure space? Are there sudden changes happening around them? Because when dogs feel completely safe, they often begin to let go of this guarded posture, and that is when you'll see them transition into the next position, one that shows they trust you more than you might realize. 3. On their side, the rester. Your dog is lying on their side, legs extended, breathing slow and steady. Maybe their eyes are half closed. Maybe they're twitching slightly, paws paddling the air like they're chasing something in a dream. This is one of the best signs you can see as a dog owner. When a dog sleeps on their side, they're often in deep, restorative sleep. This is commonly where REM sleep occurs, the phase where dreaming happens, where the brain processes the day's experiences, and where the body does important healing work. But here is the key. Dogs typically will only sleep on their side when they feel safe. Think about it. In this position, their belly is partially exposed. Their legs are stretched out, meaning they can't jump up and run as quickly. Their guard is down. For a dog, this is a vulnerable state, and they're less likely to enter it unless they feel secure in their surroundings. If your dog regularly sleeps on their side near you, or even better, right next to you, it is often a clear sign that they feel comfortable in your presence. They're not worried. They're not scanning for danger. They're just resting. And those little twitches and movements you see, that is not something to worry about. It is actually healthy. It suggests their brain is active, processing memories, maybe even replaying that game of fetch you played earlier. Dogs appear to dream just like we do, and side sleeping is often when it happens most. Not every dog will choose this position all the time. Some prefer to stay a little more guarded, especially in new environments. But if you've recently brought a dog home and you start noticing them sleeping on their side more often, congratulations, they're starting to trust you. And if you think that position shows trust, wait until you see the next one, because what I am about to show you is often considered the ultimate sign that your dog feels completely, totally safe. 4. On their back, paws in the air, the full trust position. Let's paint a picture. You walk into the room, and there is your dog flat on their back, belly completely exposed, legs sticking up in the air at the most awkward, hilarious angles you've ever seen. Maybe their tongue is hanging out. Maybe they're snoring. You probably laugh. You might even grab your phone and take a picture. But here is what you need to understand. This position is significant. When a dog sleeps on their back, they are often showing you a very high level of trust. In the wild, no animal would typically sleep like this. The belly, the throat, the chest. These are the most vulnerable parts of a dog's body. There are no bones protecting the organs underneath. No thick fur shielding the skin. In animal interactions, exposing the belly often signals submission or vulnerability. So when your dog flips onto their back and falls asleep, they're likely telling you something profound. They're saying, I am completely safe here. I don't need to protect myself. I trust you with my life. It is also one of the most comfortable positions for a dog, especially when they're hot. Remember, dogs don't sweat the way humans do. They regulate their temperature primarily through panting and by exposing the less furry parts of their body, like their belly and the pads of their paws. Sleeping on their back allows maximum airflow to these areas, cooling them down effectively. But beyond temperature, this position can reveal personality. Dogs that sleep on their backs regularly tend to be confident, laid back, and emotionally secure. They're not worried about what is happening around them. They're not on high alert. They're just chill. If your dog sleeps like this often, especially near you, you are doing something right. You've created an environment where they don't just survive, they thrive. And here is an interesting observation. Some animal behaviorists suggest that dogs who sleep on their backs might have lower stress levels overall and a stronger bond with their human family. So next time you catch your dog sprawled out like a cartoon character, take a moment to appreciate what it really means. That is not just a funny sleeping position, that is trust, in its purest form. But not all positions are about trust. Some are about energy, and the next one, it is all about dogs who are ready to go at a moment's notice. Now, we're about halfway through, and if you are loving these insights into what your dog is really telling you, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we share deep dives into dog behavior like this all the time. And honestly, the next 3 positions get even more fascinating. Position number 6 especially, it reveals something about your dog's emotional needs that most owners completely overlook. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Alright, let's keep going. 5. The Superman. The ready position. Imagine your dog lying flat on their belly, front legs stretched straight out in front of them, back legs extended straight behind. They look like they're mid-flight, like a superhero zooming through the sky. This is the Superman position, and it is most common in puppies. But some adult dogs never grow out of it. Here is what this position tells you. Your dog is resting, but they're not deeply asleep, they're in standby mode. The Superman allows a dog to get up onto their feet quickly. There is minimal need to roll over, untuck legs or shift their weight significantly. They're already in launch position. This is a common pose for dogs who are playful, energetic, and always ready for the next adventure. Puppies sleep like this frequently because their energy levels are very high. They rest hard after playing, but they don't want to miss a single moment of action, so they nap in a position that lets them spring back to life the instant something interesting happens. But this position also has a cooling function. When a dog lies flat on their belly, especially on a cool floor like tile or hardwood, they're using the surface to draw heat away from their body. If it is a hot day, or if your dog has been running around and is overheated, don't be surprised if they Superman themselves onto the coldest spot they can find. Now, if your adult dog still sleeps like this regularly, it usually suggests one of 2 things. Either they're a high-energy breed, working dogs like Border Collies, Australian Shepherds, or Belgian Malinois, who tend to stay more alert, or they're just not fully relaxed yet. It is not necessarily a bad sign. Some dogs are just naturally more vigilant, but if you want your dog to feel comfortable enough to shift into deeper, more restorative sleep, make sure they're getting enough mental and physical exercise during the day. A tired dog is often a dog that sleeps more deeply. And speaking of deep sleep, the next position might look a little strange, but it is actually one of the healthiest signs you can see. 6. Burrowed under blankets. The den seeker. Does your dog refuse to sleep unless they're completely buried under a blanket, pillow, or pile of laundry? Do they nose their way under the covers and stay there for hours even when it seems like they should be suffocating? This isn't weird. It is instinct. Dogs are den animals by nature. Their ancestors, wolves and wild canids, often sought out small, enclosed spaces to sleep, caves, hollows, thick underbrush, because these spaces offered protection from predators and harsh weather. Even though your living room is perfectly safe, that instinct to find a cozy enclosed spot may still be present in your dog's behavior. When your dog burrows, they're recreating that den experience. The pressure of the blanket or the surrounding fabric can give them a sense of security, similar to being enclosed. It is comforting, it is warm, and it makes them feel hidden and safe. But here is the deeper layer. Dogs that burrow frequently may be more anxious or sensitive than other dogs. They're not necessarily fearful, but they might crave extra reassurance. Burrowing gives them control over their environment, a way to self-soothe when things feel overwhelming. If your dog is a burrower, it is a good idea to provide them with options. A covered crate, a dog bed with raised sides, or even a designated blanket they can tunnel into. This isn't spoiling them, it is meeting a legitimate behavioral need. And here is something interesting. Some breeds are more prone to burrowing than others. Dachshunds, for example, were bred to pursue animals into dens, so going under blankets may feel natural to them. Terriers, Chihuahuas and other small breeds also tend to burrow more, possibly because they're more sensitive to temperature changes and seek warmth. But no matter the breed, if your dog loves to burrow, let them. It is not hurting anything, and it is giving them exactly what they need to feel secure. Now, there is one more position I need to tell you about, and this one is probably the most revealing of all, because it shows you something about your dog's personality that you might never have noticed. 7. Half on, half off, the Quirky Individualist. Have you ever found your dog sleeping in the most bizarre, uncomfortable-looking position imaginable? Maybe their front half is on the couch and their back half is on the floor. Maybe their head is on a pillow, and the rest of them is twisted at a 90-degree angle. Maybe they're wedged into a corner that seems physically impossible to fit into. If this is your dog, congratulations, you own a weirdo, and I mean that in the best possible way. Dogs that sleep in strange, unconventional positions are often highly individual. They're not strictly following instinct or typical pack behavior, they're just doing their own thing. And that is actually often a sign of a confident, secure dog. Think about it. A dog that feels the need to constantly stay guarded, constantly follow survival patterns, is less likely to experiment with strange sleeping positions. But a dog that feels totally safe, totally comfortable, totally unbothered, they'll sleep however they want. These dogs often have quirky personalities in other areas too. They might have unusual play styles, odd preferences for toys, or specific routines that don't make sense to anyone but them, and that is okay. It just means your dog is comfortable enough to be themselves. So if you've been worried that your dog's sleeping habits are abnormal, stop, unless they seem in pain or distress. Strange sleeping positions are usually just a sign of comfort and individuality. And honestly, those are the positions that make the best photos. So let's bring this all together. Every position your dog sleeps in is telling you something. Whether they're curled in a protective ball, sprawled on their back in full trust mode, or wedged into some bizarre corner, only they understand. Their sleep is a language, and now you know how to read it. If your dog sleeps at your feet, they may be protecting you. If they're on their side, they're resting deeply and feel safe. If they're on their back, they likely trust you completely. If they're in Superman mode, they're ready for action. If they burrow, they're seeking comfort and security. And if they sleep in weird, inexplicable ways, they're just being their wonderfully unique selves. The beautiful thing is, once you start paying attention to these signals, you'll notice even more. You'll see the tiny shifts in behavior, the little preferences, the ways your dog is constantly communicating with you without saying a word. And that is the real gift of understanding your dog's sleep. It is not just about positions, it is about connection. It is about seeing your dog not just as a pet, but as an individual with thoughts, feelings, needs, and trust to give. So tonight, when your dog settles in for sleep, watch where they go, watch how they position themselves, and know that every choice they make is a message meant just for you. If this opened your eyes to something new about your dog, share it with another dog owner who might need to hear it. And if you want to keep learning the hidden language your dog is speaking every single day, subscribe so you never miss what comes next. because your dog is talking to you, and now you are finally learning to listen.